Budget Blinds. Visit their showroom or call today for a free in-home consultation.
Welcome back. A Cold Lake Transit bus driver is safe after a fire broke out in the vehicle on Route 3 this afternoon. The bus was traveling east on Township Road 630 when the fire started. There were no passengers on board at the time, and the driver was able to quickly exit the vehicle. Cold Lake Fire Rescue and RCMP responded to the fire, and an investigation into the cause is underway. Well, many nonprofits in Lloydminster have received an early Christmas present. The city has approved the funding for 2016 Family and Community Support Services Grant Program. Charitable organizations apply for the grant through the city and rely on the money to run programs throughout the year. Now, here's how it works. The city contributes 20% of the money, while the Alberta government puts up the other 80%. Councillor Larry Sowers says the funding has remained the same for the past 6 years, but this year it's gone up.
The new government has increased it by about $120,000, so that's very welcoming to for our charities.
A committee decides how the funds are allocated.
There's a criteria that comes from the province as well that they use, that these organizations have to meet. They review that, and then they determine the allocations according to not only what they are asking for, but where they see it fits best in.
13 organizations received funding. Some of the largest recipients were Big Brothers Big Sisters, who got $36,000 for school mentoring. $40,000 went to Catholic Social Services. The Community Youth Center received $20,000, and $50,000 went towards Midwest Family Connections for various programs. Sauer adds all organizations who applied this year received some amount of funding. The Lloydminster Bandits wrapped up their final home game of 2015 on Friday night. But before the team even hit the ice, they took the time to give back to the community in their 4th annual Pack the Bus Night.
Hello. Hello. Is it a men's shelter?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks.
One by one, residents dropped off bags full of winter clothing, food, and other donations for the Lloydminster Men's Shelter. This is the 4th year the Bandits have run the campaign, and according to team officials, it's a great tradition this time of year.
Everybody needs help out there, especially at Christmas time, and especially when the weather's getting cold. We got to help out everybody around the city. And for the Bandits, hey, we help out the men's shelter, and we try to work as hard as we can.
Originally opened in 2008, the shelter provides a safe place to stay and 3 meals a day for up to 28 men. Staff say donation nights like this go a long way.
Most of our funding comes from the Alberta and Saskatchewan governments, and as you probably can guess, government dollars are always somewhat limited, and you don't know from one year to another. I mean, there's always budget constraints. So this helps out our budget, makes the money go farther.
Food and clothing donations are always being accepted at the men's shelter. Their next big funding drive is the Coldest Night of the Year event, which is scheduled for February 20th. It's been nearly 25 years since the first Iraq War or Gulf War began in earnest. In January of 1991, the air war to drive Iraqi forces out of Kuwait began. In this week's Retrospect, we see local reaction to that move from World War II veterans.
In the Gulf War, Baghdad is bracing for another night of...
This is what much of the nation has been watching since Wednesday evening. War in the Gulf. It finally happened, and for these 3 men, it was time.
I feel that we had got to the point where there was no use of pussyfooting around any longer. We were in the same situation we were in '39 when we were up against Hitler, and it was time that we came to a showdown.
Bordy Clifford left for World War II September 11th, 1939. He left his wife of 2 weeks, and he wouldn't see her or Canada for another 5 years. Jack Kemp was also in World War II. The captain and company commander was shot in the head before his tour was over, and still, Kemp feels the attack on Wednesday was warranted.
And so how long do you go on with a man like this who has taken countless numbers of people hostage, has tortured them, and now thinks that he can go into a little country like Kuwait and just take it the same as Hitler took other countries.
These three men have been watching the war closely. Of all the border city residents, they can probably relate closer than anyone.
Well, I feel that the majority of those fellows that are over there on call at the present time are men that joined the forces with the idea in mind that they would look after any protection of their country that had to be taken.
And I know in 1944, this may have been in the minds of a lot of us, but a lot of us were so busy that we hadn't time to think about it.
Krista Polishi, NewsHour.